I hope everyone is doing all right today. This is going to be my review for Jurassic World. I think Dominion or Domination. I think Dominion. I'm not sure, but this is going to be my review for the new Jurassic Park. I'm going to talk about the positives, probably the positives first, and then the negatives, and then maybe the star rating, and then maybe talk about some messages at the end. Or maybe I'll talk about what I thought about the film. I don't know. I want to talk about those 5 points, but I guess I'll start with how I felt about the movie and just some of the things about it. But so I guess out of 5, I'm not entirely sure how to rate the movie. When I first watched the movie, I wasn't sure what to expect. At the beginning was kind of odd, it was weird, but just watching the movie throughout, the first 20 to maybe 30 minutes was a bit slow. It was kind of odd. I was not sure where the movie was going for the first half hour. So it took a while for it to really pick up, for me. The writing stood out. Some of the things that the characters were saying, the directing, some of the camera works, the way the scenes were put together. It was all really odd. It was all really odd how it stood out. So just right there, it was kind of unimmersed at the very beginning, but it did get better. It was nice seeing the old characters from the original film. It was good seeing those three together again. I haven't seen them together since the first one, but that's just me. The movie seemed kind of odd. It felt like there were a few strange plot holes in the movie, and without spoiling too much, it seemed like there was a big problem going on in the movie, but toward the end, it was almost like, wait a minute, the resolve of the movie at the end didn't need to happen. Like, when the conflict first started in the movie, it was like, wait a minute, this one decision at the very beginning of the movie, which happened at the end, could have just happened, and the whole plot didn't need to happen at all. So that kind of stood out to me. But there's a few plot holes that stood out to me, and I was like, what? But other than that, still enjoyable. The good thing is it was good. The movie was good for what it was, for the experience that it was. It was put together differently from what I'm used to, so I did appreciate that. I did appreciate how unique certain movies are put together. People are trying new things. Directors are trying new things nowadays. So that stood out, and I really did enjoy that. I appreciate that. I loved seeing how the characters came together and cross-referenced, and just how they crossed and met each other throughout the movie. At times, the movie just felt like a drag at times. I don't know if it was just me, but looking around in the movie theaters, it kind of felt like even the audience wasn't feeling it. And I usually don't notice that in movie theaters. But it kind of felt like making the movie was a drag. There were certain scenes that I would watch, and it just felt like, did they enjoy filming the scene? Did they enjoy editing the? It just stood out. A lot of bad, weird things stood out. But let's see. Other than that, maybe I'll rate it 3 out of 5 stars, because it was nice. It was good seeing dinosaurs and everything like that. It wasn't a lot of action at all, I will say that. I'll say some of the good things about the movie. The character representation, the characters were fun. There wasn't a lot of unnecessary deaths in that movie. But that also meant there weren't a lot of dinosaurs eating people. There weren't a lot of dinosaurs in there at all, actually. It felt like a lot of the dinosaurs that were put in that movie were just there just to fill in, as it's a dinosaur movie, and to not be criticized for not having them in the movie. It kind of felt like that. But I don't know, it just felt like there could have been more. I don't know why, but there was a decent number in there. Yeah. So let me see. Also, that's probably all I can say about that. Yeah, movie was okay. The good things. I guess some of the bad things. It just felt like a drag at certain scenes and weird plot holes. Yeah, but other than that, there wasn't a lot of action in it. Some of the plot holes. Just other than that, there wasn't really too many bad things about it. It wasn't too exciting. There wasn't a lot of things that were like, oh wow, I'm really enjoying this movie. Especially like with the first two, there was no volcano. There was no ball that was being kicked around. There was none of that in this third movie, or in this, into this trilogy. So that was kind of a bummer. I was expecting some cool action scenes. There were a few cool action sequences, but overall, it wasn't very captivating. And so that kind of took me out of the movie, especially toward the climax of the movie. I was like, oh, okay, after this scene, I'm sure the last scene, the climax of the movie is going to be a lot better with its action scene. And then the movie ended, and I was like, oh, so that was the action scene, the climax. So, the ending kind of wasn't that good, and the action, the directing was so, I don't want to say bad, but sometimes you didn't know what was going on in the action sequences. Like the way the camera kept going back and forth, they weren't good at telling you what was going on in the story or what was going on with the action. The characters would just meet at random points, and it was like they would all just perfectly be in a position to where they could help the other character, even though they didn't know where each other was. It was hard to know who the good and the bad guys were toward the beginning of the movie. The whole ending part. Well, okay. Well, I don't want to say ending part. So there was a dinosaur fight, and there were two dinosaurs fighting. How they found each other, I don't know. But there were two dinosaurs fighting, and all of a sudden, I guess one got knocked out, and a third one popped up somehow. And I'm like, wait a minute, where was this third dinosaur? Was it here this whole time? When did it fight? When did the second one get knocked out? It was just, a lot of the action sequences were just very odd and hard to keep up with. But yeah, so let's see. So that's the good part, the bad parts, and I talked a little bit about the movie. And number 4, I guess I would rate it 3 stars out of 5. Because I did appreciate it for what it was, and I did enjoy seeing the old cast of people, and I did enjoy the different, unique direction that the director took. Now, the last thing I'll say is some of the messages that I got from the movie. This movie was very hard. It was very, very hard to find messages for this movie, positive messages. And what I think it was about, what I think the director was going for, at the very beginning, it was talking about, being trapped and everything like that, and control. I noticed that there was a repetitive theme about control, about, nature. We're subjective to nature. Nature is always in control at the end of the day, and we're just kind of observers, and also the young girl, the girl, I forgot her name. She was saying, hey, I want to go out there in the world. And her parents, Claire and Owen, I believe his name was, they were saying, oh, no, we got to protect you. You got to stay in here. And she was saying, you can't control what I do. And she always went off and did her own thing. Then she got caught at the end. And it's just, I just saw repetitive messages about control and things like that. But overall, the positive messages, the messages that I did pick up, it was that sometimes parents want to, I don't want to say control kids, but they do want to control certain experiences. But, children, people, we are who we are no matter what. And when we do begin to explore ourselves, then we go through an entire journey. And sometimes we just need someone to go through that journey with us. But when you begin the journey of trying to understand who you are, you will be met with what you are capable of. You will be met with how other people are going to want to use you, and what you can do for the world, what you can do for yourself, who's going to be there for you. You're met with a lot that goes on, that can possibly go on in your life when the moment you decide to step out, make that first step, and question who you are. So when you do that, and that's when a whole journey happens. That was one of the messages I did pick up. And also a very important message was that no matter what happens in life, no matter what we do, it doesn't matter what bad thing happened, what regrets we have, how we've been ashamed of things. What matters is what we do now to fix what already has been done. No matter how terrible we've been in the past, no matter how many terrible things we have done, no matter how bad we messed up, right now in this moment, we have the choice or decision to do something about it. And all we can do is the best we can. So yeah, that was a strong message that I picked up. That was the strongest message I picked up in that movie. It's just, we all live in this world together. Some of us have different roles, but we're all on this planet together. And there's an older generation and there's newer generation, and we coexist, and we can learn from each other. We can grow with each other, and we can just learn to coexist. We're constantly fighting each other. We're constantly fighting the old rules and fighting what older people experience, what they had to go through. But the things that they go through, they had to learn how to cope with and master. And us as young people, it seems as though younger people are dominating the world for the most part and completely neglecting all of the lessons that we had to learn as humans in the past. All the things that we had to learn were just saying, oh, that's the old way of doing things, not understanding or realizing why those lessons are there. So I did pick that up from the movie. The two groups from the older generation and the two groups from the younger generation both had their own stories. So it did feel like I was watching two halves of a movie or two halves of two different movies that were just mashed together into one movie. At times, it did feel as though half of the movie could have been Jurassic Park 4, and the other half of the movie could have been the first half of Jurassic Park 6, if that makes sense. And when I say Jurassic Park 4, I mean like a sequel to the original trilogy with the original characters. Like, it kind of felt that way, that this was like a startup or a reboot from the OG Jurassic Park. That's how half of this movie felt. And then the other half felt like, oh, it's a build-up or a plot to a new Jurassic Park. And the fact that these two build-ups of these two halves were mashed together, half of this movie was pretty dull because it just felt like two build-ups that were just back to back, and that cut through half of the movie. And so yeah, there was that. But yeah, so no matter how much the world changes, we just have to learn to understand our mistakes, to make up for it, to do whatever we can, no matter what situation we're in, no matter how bad we messed up, no matter what. We can always make amends. We can always choose to make the better decision. We can always choose to make the better option. We can always choose to fix what we've done, no matter how bad it is. And the last message I will say, and it was for this character, she was a black character, and I can't remember her name in the movie, but I really enjoyed her. I really enjoyed the message that I felt from her character, which was more like, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you think or how you treat people, how you act. It's all about your heart. It's all about what you choose to do. Despite your personality, it does not matter, but what you choose to do is a really strong definition of character. And in this movie, this girl, she was tough, she was brave, she did what she had to do, but the core of who she was still a caring person who embraced her feminine side. And I really felt that strong within this character, and I loved how they portrayed a black or female character in general, and just kept her in the way she was in that movie. Just, had kept her the way she was during the sequences and how she presented herself. And I loved that. And I loved that the core of why she was even there and everything that she did, every decision that she made, was all from a feminine perspective of her embracing the good, the awesomeness of being a woman, basically. And it wasn't thrown in your face. It wasn't apparent. It's just like, it was there to see, and it was there to understand. It was there to see, oh, this person has a heart. And just because she didn't act like that, it doesn't mean it wasn't there, Anyway, I just love that. So that was another strong message I got from this. I'm probably going to end it now. Hopefully you enjoyed this video review. Yeah, it was a great movie. It was a great experience. I'd have to rate it a 3 out of 5. And, yeah, I did look at some of the reviews on it, and it said that it was the worst in the franchise. I can understand why. That was actually one of my first thoughts after I left the movie. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this. The last thing I forgot to mention is, no matter what happens in the world, we as a species will never be able to evolve until we transcend the way we think and how we react to things, also known as our consciousness. And that's it. Have a good day.